Okay, everyone. Today we're going to tell you a story. It's about a place that's, well, it's known for being incredibly beautiful, but also quite chilling.
Yeah, it's a real mix. We're talking about a specific place in Phetchabun province in Thailand.
That's right. A really significant bridge there.
Officially, its name is Dan Dan Klong Kin King 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 Kin Safan Phokun Pha Muang. But honestly, most people know it by a much darker name.
They do. It's the Huay Tong Bridge.
Which translates roughly to the Ghost Death Ravine Bridge.
Just hearing that name, it tells you something immediately, doesn't it? This isn't your average bridge.
Not at all. And the story we're sharing today comes from different accounts, different sources looking into the history and the legends that have sort of built up around this structure.
So we want to share what these sources say about why this place has this kind of split personality. Nick, admired for the engineering, but also whispered about because of all the tragedy.
Let's start with the bridge itself, the physical side, because it really is quite something.
It is. It's a big concrete bridge, and it plays a really vital role connecting the north and northeast regions of Thailand.
Right. It's part of Highway 12 between Lom Sak and Nam Nao districts in Phetchabun. It's actually on the way to Nam Nao National Park.
And the specific section we're focusing on is pretty long, about 13.4 kilometers.
But the really standout feature, structurally speaking, is the height. It has the tallest bridge piers in the whole country.
How tall are we talking?
50 meters. 50. Imagine pillars reaching 50 meters up from the bottom of the ravine.
50 meters. It's like, what, a 16-story building?
Yeah.
Roughly?
Yeah, something like that. Just massive. Building it must have been an incredible challenge.
Absolutely. The Department of Highways designed it, and the work involved.
Wow. They had to cut through mountains, basically. Sources mention 4 million cubic meters of earth moved, 4.5 million cubic meters of rock blasted.
Just enormous amounts of work. It took 6 years to finish. It finally opened back in 1975.
It's 2518 in the Buddhist era calendar. Right. And the views, I mean, if you've seen pictures or been there, they are spectacular. Mountains, lush green forests all around.
They even put in a viewpoint, didn't they, at the Lom Sak end?
Yeah.
So people could stop and take it all in. It became a really popular photo spot.
Definitely. But that impressive height, the thing that gives those amazing views, that's also what makes it like falling into a deep, deep ravine if something goes wrong.
And that's where the story takes a dark turn. Because tragically, this bridge has become linked with danger, with so many accidents over the years.
Which is exactly how it got that nickname, the Ghost Death Ravine Bridge. It wasn't just plucked out of thin air, it came about because of all the fatal incidents.
When the numbers are just stark. The sources we looked at estimate that over 100 lives have been lost there.
Over 100 in the 49 years since it opened.
Yeah, it's staggering.
And when you dig into the types of deaths reported, it's not just, typical fender benders, although those happen too. The accounts really emphasize major accidents, like vehicles actually going off the bridge.
Falling into the ravine below.
Exactly. It's described as disturbingly common.
And there's more to it than just accidents, isn't there? The sources mention a darker history too.
Yeah, sadly. Because of the height and how remote it is, apparently, historically, it was sometimes used to dispose of bodies, murder victims. The height made discovery really difficult.
Grim. And it's also mentioned as a place people have gone to end their own lives.
Unfortunately, yes. It's become known for suicides as well.
So why? Why so many accidents? Is there something specific about the bridge or the road?
Well, there's a pretty widely accepted explanation tied to the road design leading up to it. Coming from the Nam Nao National Park side, there's this long, steep downhill section right before you get to the bridge.
Okay.
So drivers often need to keep their speed up on that downhill to get the momentum to climb onto and across the bridge itself.
Right, I see. But what's the problem with that?
The problem is that this steep downhill run leads directly into a sharp right-hand curve, and that curve is on the bridge.
So you're coming down fast and hit a sharp turn.
Exactly. A curve with only about a 200-meter radius, which is pretty tight for the speeds vehicles might be doing there. If you don't slow down enough before you hit that curve, well, you can lose control very easily.
And the railing, is it substantial?
It's described as being only about 1 meter high, which often just isn't enough to stop a speeding car, let alone a truck or a bus.
So they can just break through.
And fall, or 50 meters.
The sources mentioned some really awful accidents from the early days, right after it opened.
They do. There was a student bus crash, over 20 fatalities. Then a truck carrying sugarcane workers went over, about 18 deaths there. And a whole Moorlam music troupe, their truck crashed. Everyone on board died.
Good grief. Just those few incidents.
Accounted for over 50 deaths, right at the beginning. More than half the total reported deaths over nearly 5 decades happened in those first few years. It set a terrifying precedent almost immediately.
Which kind of leads us into the most infamous incident, the one that really cemented this bridge's reputation in recent memory.
Yeah, the big bus crash in 2013, December 26, late at night, around 11 p.m.
I remember hearing about this one. A public bus.
Running the Kon Kan to Chiang Rai route. Reports say it was speeding down that steep hill from Nam Nao, just like we described. Lost control on the curve on the bridge.
What happened then?
It hit the railing first, then smashed into an electric pole, overturned, and just plunged 50 meters down into the darkness.
Oh, horrific. The rescue must have been incredibly difficult.
Extremely. Imagine. 50 meters deep, pitch black night, rough terrain. They needed specialized high-altitude rescue gear, cutting tools, just to reach the wreckage and the people trapped inside.
The scene must have been devastating.
Described as horrific, yeah. The bus was mangled, people's belongings scattered everywhere. Many passengers have been thrown out on impact.
Awful.
And there was this one detail the rescuers mentioned, really heartbreaking. While they were working, trying to recover victims, they kept hearing mobile phones ringing. Constantly ringing from inside the wreckage or from the victims.
Oh no, families calling.
Yeah, families calling, probably wondering where their loved ones were, completely unaware of what had happened. The rescuer said it was just unbearable. They couldn't bring themselves to answer the phones.
I can't even imagine. Were there any survivors?
Initially, they managed to rescue 5 people who were critically injured, but sadly, 28 bodies were recovered at the scene. And later, one of the injured died in hospital.
So 29 deaths in total from that one crash.
29, yeah.
And the cause, was it determined?
The suspected cause pointed back to those known issues. The driver likely wasn't familiar with just how dangerous that specific stretch was, and crucially, excessive speed coming into that curve.
But this accident, because it was so bad and got so much attention, it really fueled those other stories, didn't it? The ones about the bridge being haunted.
Absolutely. It massively amplified the talk about curses and ghosts. It cemented that reputation in the public mind.
Which brings us to that side of the story, the whispers, the strange accounts that seem to cling to this bridge.
Right. This idea took hold, especially locally, that the spirits of those who died there are trapped, and that they're looking for, what's the term? Right. Substitute victims. The belief is they need someone to take their place so they can move on.
And there are specific stories that people tell, aren't there, connected to this idea?
There are. Like after that 2013 bus crash, people living nearby said that about half an hour after it happened, they heard sounds, footsteps, like maybe 10, 20 people walking away from the crash site up on the bridge, and dogs were barking like crazy along the road.
But when they went to look,
nothing. Nobody there. Which led them to believe they'd heard the spirits of the victims maybe already starting their search.
Wow. Okay. And then there was that photo incident in 2017.
Yeah, that one got a lot of attention too. This person, identified as Kuno, was just taking photos with his son from the viewpoint, scenic shots of the bridge. This was December 22nd, 2017.
Just normal tourist photos.
Exactly. But later, when they were looking through the pictures at home, his son noticed something on one of the huge bridge piers in the photo.
What was it? When
they zoomed in, they saw what looked like a person, a figure in a white shirt sort of hiding on the pier.
Hiding? On a 50-meter high pier? That's unsettling.
Deeply unsettling for them. They were so disturbed they actually went back the next day to make merit, offer prayers for the spirit they thought they'd captured.
There have been more recent things, too.
Well, there was the suicide in 2021. A 41-year-old man jumped, and the report said his family and friends were completely baffled, saying he had no known problems, no reason to do it.
Which led people to speculate.
About the substitute victim curse again. Was he somehow drawn there? It's speculation, of course, but it feeds the narrative.
And locals.
Yeah.
Do they report seeing things?
According to news interviews mentioned in the sources, yes. Some villagers talk about seeing dark shadows or even figures standing in a line on the bridge late at night, but they vanish if you get closer.
Like apparitions.
Seems like it. Others report even scarier things, seeing figures waving from the roadside, or even running out into the path of cars, causing drivers to slam on their brakes or swerve violently to avoid hitting nothing.
That sounds terrifying, someone just appearing in front of you.
There was even a similar story found on a web forum, Pantip. Someone described seeing an old woman suddenly appear right in front of their car on the bridge and then just disappear.
So you have all these stories layered on top of the very real danger of the road itself.
Exactly. And the accounts we looked at present both sides of this.
Right. The practical side.
Yeah, the explanations grounded in reality. Driver error is a huge one. Speeding, not knowing the road. The bridge design itself, that steep downhill into the sharp curve, the low railing, vehicle condition, lack of good lighting at night. All these are real, tangible factors that definitely contribute to accidents. No one really denies that.
But then there's the other perspective.
The belief perspective. The one that talks about a curse. Trapped spirits searching for substitutes. Some accounts even speculate about, maybe disturbing local forest spirits, the Vampon hog out of way back when the bridge was being built in the 70s. Maybe something happened then that only the original workers knew about.
So was it disturbed spirits? Or just a dangerous design?
The sources kind of leave it open. They present both the practical factors and the supernatural beliefs. It's really up to each person to weigh the information and decide what they think is going on there.
It's a place with quite a story then.
Definitely. We've shared the story of the Huay Tong Bridge, famous for its beauty, yes, but also steeped in tragedy and these really unsettling, persistent mysteries.
And whether you look at it as just an amazing piece of engineering on a dangerous road,
Yeah.
or something more, maybe a place with a genuine paranormal presence, the story itself is a powerful reminder. Places can hold both wonder and darkness, sometimes side by side.
And maybe it just highlights the need for caution, especially on roads like that. Vigilance, awareness.
It makes you think, though. This structure, built to connect places, to help people travel, becoming so strongly associated with tragic endings, with these eerie stories.
Yeah, what does that mean? A bridge meant for passage becoming a place known for finality, for spirits lingering. It's a really striking contrast.
It really is. Well, that's the story we wanted to share with you today. Thank you for joining us.
And hey, if you found this story interesting or maybe a little spooky, please do give us a like, share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to our channel, Kodita Hordox. We explore more stories like this, looking into the mysterious and unexplained.
Thanks again, everyone. Goodbye for now.